7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Twosome TV. It's me, Ruby.
I'm CJ.
And today we're going to talk to you guys about how we bought our home in less than a year. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, check out our videos, and if you like what we got, then make sure you guys subscribe, because we hope that we can educate and inspire other young couples around the world to be better lovers and friends and just, you know, enjoy your life as two summers.
2 summers.
2 summers. Like 2 summers.
Wow.
I deserve to do these numbers.
Next.
Okay, so just to let you guys know, as you can see by the duration of this video, this story gets a little bit in depth, but trust me, it's gonna be worth your time. We're gonna give you guys a little story time action about exactly what we went through to purchase our home. But toward the end of the video, we're gonna give you guys like a 3-step, 3-phase process to how you can buy a home. So if you wanna skip straight to that, you guys can just check that part out. But if you rock with us, if you love us and you are friends, pay attention to the story because it's gonna get real.
So I was leasing at my apartment.
We were married.
Yeah, but I was living there before we got married.
Yeah.
And I was like living there for 3 years, and I honestly just sat down and I thought about it. Like, I've been living here 3 years. I've been spending all this money on rent. I added it all up, and I felt like it was like $30,000 I'm just wasting, dude. Like, I look back, I have nothing to show for it. So at that moment, I'm like, yo, I think we need to like get a house. We need to stop renting. But getting a house was just kind of like
Far-fetched.
yeah, and
Yeah, because just like for a lot of people, it's like you talk about home ownership and it's more kind of like a dream. And for us, it was like, no, we need to make this into a reality, but our income, our structure, our credit, like it just didn't seem like it was
and
the
then
right
just
time.
being in California, it just, it didn't seem promising. So, we were kind of looking into condos. We were looking into maybe like townhouses or something like that. And
this was like more of like a speculative search. Like it wasn't like we were like, oh, we actually are ready to buy a house. It was just like, if we did buy a home, what could we possibly afford? We're like asking questions.
Right.
So it was New Year's Day. We were hanging out with our friends at our house, and we were playing a board game.
It's talking about like people we know, friends we know that are still living at home with their parents, but I kind of look at it like those type of people have an advantage. They can actually stack up their bread. They don't have no responsibilities or anything like that. So if they were responsible, stack that bread up for like 2 years, they'd have enough money to move into a house. So somebody had made a joke, and we were kind of posing the question of moving in with our friends or something like that. 2 days later, he ends up calling me back, and he was like, yo, I was thinking about it, and if you guys were serious, you guys could actually come stay with us, save your money or whatever. We had completely forgot about that conversation or that joke anyway. So, when he called back, it became like a serious consideration. So we actually decided that we would take him up on that offer, and we would actually move in because we saw the benefit in doing it.
Despite the fact that like when we brought it up to a couple other like friends or relatives and we told them what we were gonna do, is like people were like, are y'all sure? Because a lot of times when you live with friends, you lose friends. People don't get along or relationships are scorned. But I felt like something told me in my spirit like this is gonna work. It may not work with a lot of people, but this is gonna work. So we just decided to do it. This conversation happened January, but we actually didn't move out of our apartment until the end of March, and we moved in with them at the beginning of April. So we moved out of our apartment, we just got rid of everything. Thank God, at the same month that we were moving out, our friend was moving into our apartment complex and she didn't have anything. So we pretty much gave her most stuff, sold some other stuff,
We were actually thinking about moving to Texas, and we were like, let's just get rid of everything.
That too,
so
yep.
it'd be easier just to drive out there.
We were thinking about moving to Texas. That was a real strong thought for a while, babe.
Yeah.
It's crazy how things change. We went from paying $950 a month at an apartment, and it was a 1-bedroom apartment plus utilities, food and stuff, to only having to give our friends $300 a month, and they use that toward rent and utilities. So when you add all that up, we knew moving in with them, we'd be able to save at least $1,000 on what we had been putting out. And that was like our base. We looked at it like we're moving in April. Our friends asked us to be gone by the end of the year. So we're like, we have about 8 months to save up. We should be able to save like 10 G's. And that should be a decent amount to buy a home, right?
Yeah, that's what we thought.
Right. So that was like our thought process. So how were we going to buy the home? Did we want to do a conventional loan, an FHA loan, or did we want to go through some type of like home assistance program?
Well, our friends, they had already went through NACA. So NACA was like this nonprofit organization. They'll try to help you with no closing costs, no down payment, and all that other stuff.
What this organization does is they require you to get on your stuff. They tell you about the whole process of buying a home, all the paperwork you need to have in order, all the letters of explanation that you need to have in order, everything that the underwriter and people are going to look for throughout your process. So beginning April, we knew we were going to go through NACA, and we knew in order to go through NACA, you have to wait to go to a seminar, which they only put on so often, and then you have to get a meeting, which they, book your meeting far out. So we didn't actually sit down and really start talking things through and really trying to work a plan for buying this house until like 3 months later. And around this time, I think it's like the July, August.
So then we go to like our second meeting, and at this point, like we said, we wanted to move to Texas. So we didn't get approved for that much money, but it was okay because we were like, we're just gonna move to Texas anyway. So, everything was falling in line. And then we went to our final meeting, and like this guy just like forgets to add your debt to the whole ratio of things. So it kind of like just threw everything all the way off.
Ratios off. I work for myself, and I hadn't been reporting income at the time. So NACA didn't really have much to work with. They just had his income. Because we're a married couple, not only did they not count my income, but they pretty much added up all of my debt, inclusive of his debt, and just made him basically responsible. So on paper, it looks like he's the only one making income and he's paying all of our bills. And that just threw us off completely because it basically looked like we couldn't afford to own a home. We were about to buy plane tickets to go to Texas and go start looking at property. We were telling our friends about it. Then we find out that his job pulls the plug, and they basically say they're no longer allowing people to work remote. So NACA, they were still acting like they could get us a house, but we're like, what were they saying, like 122,000?
Yeah, but that was after they incorporated your debt.
Yeah, our debt.
So they incorporated your debt, and then they said that we can only get approved for like 117,000 or something
ridiculous. Like, who can buy a house with that? There's nowhere in California. Like,
it wasn't happening. And I just feel like it was just like vital, things, mistakes that he made that could have saved us a lot of time. I was kind of already sick of the situation, so I just said, you know what, it's okay, maybe just NACA's just not for us. So I knew other lenders and stuff like that, right? So I knew NACA wasn't the only place that we could actually get a loan from.
When he was thinking all this stuff, he wasn't bothered at all. But for me, I remember I was like low-key depressed. I remember I really wanted to bring it up to him, and I didn't because I didn't want to like get in an argument or like make it seem like I didn't believe. But at this point in time, I had no clue. Like, I thought it was my fault. Like, I've been working for myself all this time and I never reported income. Now we can't get a home. We lived with our friends. I remember I was crying to my girlfriends about like the sacrifice that we made, all for nothing, everything. And the next thing you know, he's on the computer and he's looking at properties, and he's like setting up appointments to go and look at properties. Yeah. And I guess you had talked to the guy at our church who was a real estate agent.
Yeah, so I contacted him because, like I said, I already knew there's other lenders out there. So, we contacted him. He got us in contact with his lender, and I called him up, and it's just funny how things work out. Like, I'm like, me and my wife, we're trying to get a house, and this is our situation. Is there any way we could come in for a meeting? And he's like, I'm all booked, but maybe we could do something next week. Then he calls me back maybe a couple minutes later, oh, I just got a cancellation, so if you guys want to come in, you guys can come in right now. Mm-hmm. So we came in, and that's what she was saying. It was like, even though we didn't go through NACA, it was like a blessing in disguise because we had everything ready for him right there. So basically he was able to get us pre-approved, pre-qualified. Like the same day, dog. Yeah. Like NACA, we was with NACA for like 3 months, and this guy gets us pre-qualified in like 3 hours or something like that.
And that was a blessing. Another blessing too. For me, it's a spiritual journey. This whole thing. Like, he may not be looking at it like that. Like, As soon as the first meeting we went and met with this guy, it's like he told us like that he had a relationship with God and that he was a believer, and like just told us about his struggles with that. And I just felt like we immediately developed a rapport with him that I felt was genuine, and I felt like we were in good hands. That's a tip that I'll give right there too. Is like you want to work with somebody who you trust, because these people are going to be like all up in your business first of all, and working with you hand in hand to make one of the biggest purchases of your life. So anyways, that's my little insert. You can continue.
So anyway, man, you messing me up, dog. Let me get back to what I was saying.
Okay.
We got pre-qualified, right? And yeah, so I started going on like Redfin, I started going on Zillow, Realtor, and all that. I actually found some properties that I was interested in the high desert area. So, you know, our realtor from our church, he had ended up being sick at the time, so he was in the hospital. So I ended up calling the realtor out here, you know, just seeing if she would just show us the house. So she actually agreed to show us the house. So we came out here, we looked at 2 properties. They were all right. They weren't like the greatest properties in the world, but you know, for the price, it was cool.
Because $200,000, just to let you guys know, is not a lot of money to work with, especially in California. Like if you don't live in California, that may be cool, but in California, especially where we're at, I mean, houses were going starting at like $250,000, $300,000, and that's like on the low end. So pretty much when we say the high desert, we had to move to a part, you know, a part of our community that it's pretty much where people who have lower incomes or people who just don't want to invest a lot of money in property move, because it's the desert. But the great thing about it is there are a lot of really nice newer homes up here, and you can get a lot for your money. And another thing that is funny about the whole thing is because prior to us discussing going to Texas, I would have never considered moving up here, which is what a lot of people who live out in SoCal think. They would never live here. But when we decided that we were going to go to Texas, and then we couldn't go to Texas, at that point I was like, we can live anywhere. Texas was so far from everything, and Texas is the desert. So I just bring that point up to like hone in on the fact that you just never know. I feel like God maybe put in our minds or gave us the desire to move to Texas, even though he knew we weren't going to go, because he needed us to open our minds up to another reality so that we could receive what he had waiting for us.